Game 1 ended with an insane finish, but I wanted to break down the rest of the game because the Knicks did a lot of good stuff that leads me to believe that they have a really good chance of winning the series, so let's get down to it. The first thing I want to talk about is the matchups. So on defense, the Pacers actually went with Halliburton on McHale, and in immense credit to the Knicks, they intentionally went to McHale way more than I've seen in most games this year. So here you're going to see the start with a stagger away, which is just this double screen. Again, McHale has options. McHale reads this right because Halliburton's on the top side of McHale, so he's just going to reject the screen by Brunson, and it's going to be a wide open layup. Good pass from Hart. Right, so there's like the second play of the game, just attacking Halliburton right off the bat. Here's another play. So entry to Cat in the elbow, and then here's a split action. Knicks run this a lot. First read is Brunson on this flare screen. If Brunson's open, Cat can throw it over the top. If Halliburton cheats to help, then McHale's going to be open, right? So that's exactly what happens. Halliburton cheats over, wide open mid-range for McHale. But the Knicks were very, very comfortable going to McHale, and I think that's the biggest part. When Brunson was out, they ran a couple plays for OG. So here's this wide pin down. Mitch sets the screen. OG comes across the screen. And then entry by McHale. This is a great move by OG. He's just going to step back here and hit a three. But I don't really like attacking with OG against Siakam over just McHale and Mitch pick and roll. The Knicks did adjust, and they went to the pick and roll more. So here you're going to see Mitch comes at the screen. And the thing to notice here is it's Mathurin and Turner in this screen, which, while they're okay defenders, they're not really great defenders, right? I feel very comfortable with McHale in this situation, especially with the spacing. You have McBride, you have Campaign, you have OG, all shooters, and look how open this paint is, right? So I trust McHale in these situations. More importantly, the Knicks trust McHale in these situations, and that's why you saw McHale have the ball a lot more. And in general, this is how you punish mismatches, right? Once Ben Shepherd got subbed in, the Knicks immediately went to McHale in the post. And here's McHale just posting up Shepherd, a lot of space, good mid-range. And that's what you have to do, right? When there are these mismatches, the Knicks have been hesitant to punish them all year, not in this game. The Knicks purposefully went to what they thought was the best matchup over and over again, and it worked. So that's the McHale piece. Let's move on to the Brunson piece. First thing I want you to notice is Nembhard didn't help. They're playing off Hart here. But again, it's not a center that's playing off Hart. It's a guard that's playing off Hart, which is more comfortable for Brunson to kind of rise up over Naismith after giving him a little contact and just operate in this like short mid-range area, right? So you're going to see a good mid-range by Brunson. On the next play, you're going to see an isolation. And then just notice the same thing, right? Look how open the paint is because Nembhard's not cheating off of Hart. I believe this is an adjustment the Pacers will make moving forward. But even if they make that adjustment, it's more comfortable than having a center roaming off Hart when you have a guard roaming off Hart. Right? Like Brunson's just comfortable in these matchups. Naismith's a good defender, but he's not at the level of like Asar or Drew Holiday. And those are just more difficult physical defenders than Naismith is. So I think Brunson's going to be pretty comfortable in this matchup, especially if you're not helping off Hart. Now, when Obi Toppin was in the game, they did have Obi help off Hart a little bit more. So here you're going to see Obi cheat down. This is just the type of coverage that the Knicks are used to. But again, McConnell and Bryant are not the level of defenders that the Knicks and Brunson have typically seen. So he's still a little bit more comfortable in this situation. Here's a good kick out. Hart has to make these. But this is what I expect the Pacers to do a little bit more of, cheating off Hart as the series goes on. I still think Brunson feels more comfortable in those situations just because of the level of defense and the level of the defenders. Another way you can kind of mitigate this is you can stagger Mitch and Hart. So here you're going to see Mitch set the screen. It's Mathurin and Bryant as the defenders in this pick and roll with Brunson and Mitch. When this happens, you can't cheat. You have McBride, you have McHale, you have OG. So this is just a really open paint for Brunson and Mitch to operate against defenders that are quite frankly just not at the level of the defenders that Brunson has seen in these pick and roll coverages. So here, gets very comfortable, snakes through, and then scores. So I think Brunson throughout the series will be pretty comfortable. And then even if you do cheat off and you have, imagine Hart in the corner, right now it's McHale, but Halliburton's cheating off McHale. So when you have a guard that is a low man is the person closest to the baseline. Typically the responsibility of help is from the low man. Here you see it's Halliburton who's responsible for help. But even then, when Brunson operates in the paint against a help defender that's a smaller defender, he's just more comfortable than if that was a center waiting to help. Right? So I think Brunson's going to be pretty comfortable all throughout the series. I want to move on to Cat now. So this is early on in the first. In the first, they ran this pick and pop. and then Brunson missed Cat. Like, this is a really open three. But I think because of this, the Knicks didn't actually go to this pick and pop a lot. And I think that's something that you have to see as the series develops. You have to see the Knicks relentlessly punish this big drop coverage. So here, misses a pass to Cat. There was one more possession where Cat hits the pick and pop, but generally you didn't really see it throughout the series. Another thing to do when you have the center on Cat is you have to take advantage in kind of this trailing big position. Cat can shoot this if it's a hard closeout from the center, if it's a late closeout from the center, but he's also capable of driving, right? Which you're going to see here. And this is just where Cat's going to be comfortable all series as long as Miles Turner's on him. And you need to punish the Pacers for playing that coverage, right? Here, the Pacers went to their double big bench with Thomas Bryant and Obi. And when they did this, they put Naismith on Cat. And then the Knicks, again, credit to the Knicks all throughout this game. They went right into the correct beaters. So they went to, this was a cross screen right before this clip, into a Cat post-up. Cat post-up against Naismith, the double comes, and then a little better spacing to find McBride for a mid-range. But typically, whatever the Knicks saw, they went to the right offensive beaters to kind of counter the covers they saw. This is the one thing that was really tough is Haliburton started on McHale and was on McHale for most of the series. But at certain points, and especially in the fourth and OT, they put Haliburton on Hart. And this is the one beater they didn't go to, especially when the Pacers subbed in Obi Toppin to stop this Brunson Cat pick and roll. So once they subbed in Obi Toppin, the Knicks should be going to Hart as a screener, as their beater, because Haliburton's defensive rules are a little murkier where they want to hedge him. But again, we know that that's a difficult coverage to execute, so sometimes they just switch, right? But that's your beater in this situation. And because the Knicks didn't really get to that and see this coverage throughout the game, they didn't execute this in the clutch. And that's probably the only time they weren't relentlessly picking on the right beater. Now, Brunson against Shepherd isn't bad at all, right? I get why they were comfortable doing that, but bring Hart in the action would probably have made a lot more sense. So let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, the Knicks started out in drop. So here you're going to see Haliburton, Turner pick and roll. You're going to see Cat in drop. And then you're going to see McHale try to get over this. McHale did a great job as a point of attack defender, but Turner really cooked in the first few minutes of the first quarter. I think he started out 5 for 5. A lot of these mid-ranges, he didn't pop and go for the three. The Pacers also started to go to this double drag where they would get Brunson onto Haliburton first at the end of the second. And then now you're executing a Brunson Cat drop defense, which is a little bit more difficult, right? So Haliburton got some good looks off of this. But Knicks need to have better principles on those guard switches if you want McHale to get over or if you want to switch and then continue to switch through with Cat. Now, in the third, the Knicks ended up switching from drop to a full switching defense like we saw against the Celtics. So here you're going to see Cat on Haliburton. And then look at that scram switch from OG and McHale on the weak side. So here on the switch, McHale's taking Turner, and they execute this really well where OG goes to Turner, and then McHale switches off onto Siakam. So the thing with the switching that concerned me originally was McHale on Turner. I thought that was a mismatch that the Pacers would go to, but McHale did a phenomenal job in the post. It makes me feel more comfortable with the switching scheme, and I think the Knicks should go to it just with how good McHale has been and how physical McHale has been. I think I feel a lot more comfortable with that situation. Now the Knicks need to clean up these guard screens. It just seems like they don't know exactly what they want to do. So here in the first, you can see Brunson like kind of hedge, and then he's going to go back to Naismith, but McHale looks like he's expecting a switch. And then this is just a little bit of a bad defense where Haliburton gets an easy layup. Now that's important because if you don't know what you're doing on those guard screens, you get into trouble, especially late game, right? This is the start of the Naismith flurry. Here you're going to see them switch first with Brunson going to Haliburton. And then Brunson's going to kind of go back and McHale's going to go back to Haliburton. But that split second plus a really good screen from Thomas Bryant frees up Naismith. Now, I'm not saying that if they knew the rules or that there were miscommunications, but that just needs to be cleaner. That was a great play, right? But that just needs to be a little bit cleaner. When Mitch was in, you can execute whatever coverage you want. Again, just a much better defensive center. So here they're in drop, and Mitch is able to get back. Great shot by Turner, but that's fine defense, right? Good contest by Mitch. And then let's talk about McConnell. So when the Pacers bring their bench unit out, you have McConnell running point. In the first quarter, McConnell got a lot of easy layups just with screens. So here you're going to see the Knicks switch. and then that's kind of their coverage. It's still trying to get McHale over the screen initially, and then switch through of its guards. Right? Sometime in the second quarter, the Knicks decided to just go under every McConnell screen, which is right, non-shooter. So you see McHale go under. You can see him go under again on the rescreen. Look how much space McHale's giving McConnell. And this is just the correct defensive strategy against McConnell. And it ended up giving McConnell more difficulties after this was implemented. Now, if you're going to go to something like this, you have to know that that's your responsibility. At the end of the third, the Pacers went to a guard screen for a McConnell pick and roll as a ball handler. Hart's thinking that McBride's going to switch this, so he's a second slow. You cannot switch this if you're going to go under the screen. This is Hart's responsibility to get under the screen and know that your defensive strategy is not to switch, but to give up the shot. Instead, Hart's the second slow because he thinks the switch might be there, and there's an open layup. So you just have to know these defensive principles. Whatever defensive principles you're executing, you have to execute them correctly, which Hart just didn't do in that specific instance. Again, I think the Knicks have a lot of solutions for the thing the Pacers do. When the Pacers bench unit comes on, they have a good scheme for McConnell. When the stars are in, they're going to execute the switch a lot more, I think. On the opposite side, I don't know if the Pacers have a lot of answers for what the Knicks can do. Whether it's where you're hiding Halliburton. The solution in this game was to put Halliburton on Hart in the clutch. But I think the Knicks will adjust, watch the film, see that, and then start bringing Hart into the action a little bit more as well. Excited for game 2. It was a tough loss, but I feel pretty good about the Knicks' chances moving forward.